here's the strategy I gave you yesterday for figuring out midpoint on some of these decimals. Channing?
Just put a 0.
You can start adding zeros until it starts to make sense to you. Now, right here, I'm going to figure out what comes halfway between 70 hundredths and 71 hundredths. Well, that's 70 and a half hundredths. But we've got a decimal in front. So here's what I want you to do. Watch me. Add another 0 and see if it makes sense. Now can I figure out halfway between 700 thousandths and 710 thousandths?
Yes.
What is it? What's halfway between
0.705.
Okay, answer this question. What is halfway between 700 and 710? 705. Okay, halfway between 9 and 10?
Halfway between
9 and 1/2. How do I write that as a decimal?
9.5.
Good. And halfway between 9/10 and 1?
8. 95 hundredths.
Okay, let's see if Channing's right. If I start adding zeros here, and I've got to add 2 to this to make it be 100. So this is like 90 hundredths. What's halfway between 90 and 100? 95. So is Channing right when she said 95 hundredths? Yes, she is. Okay. This is a quick little review, but let's see if we can do this. You write and tell me answers at the same time, okay? All right, 100 centimeters equals?
1
1 what?
1 meter.
1 meter, good. 200 centimeters equals?
2 meters.
700 centimeters equals?
7 meters.
Okay, look at this, 750 centimeters. Raise your hand. Hayden, what do you think?
I was just gonna ask you, what was the 0.91 thing?
Okay, let's continue on this and then I'll answer your question in a minute, okay? All right, so Lainey, you want to give it a try?
7 meters and 50 centimeters.
You're right, 7 meters and 50 centimeters. All right, Sadie's going to try the next one.
4 meters and 50.
4 meters and 50 centimeters. How about Halen for the next one?
6 meters and 30 centimeters.
Very good, 6 meters and 30 centimeters. Monica,
9 meters and 25 centimeters.
excellent. Okay. Zern is giving some of us problems. And it's okay because I focused so much on fractions that the decimals expanded form is really frustrating. So I want to practice that a couple times. This is called multiply by decimal fractions. And yours actually looks different than mine. You have these 4 numbers along the edge, okay, with a line. So if I were to add this first number to the place value chart, where would I write the 3?
In the tens.
In the tens place. Where would I write the 4?
In the ones.
Where would I write the 6? And I would keep going, wouldn't I?
Yes.
Okay, and so the answer to this one is 34 and 652, 52 thousandths. Of course, I could go through and write the answer to each of the multiplication problems, but that's not really going to help me figure out what the number is. So go ahead and write the answer to each of the multiplication problems. And we're going to use decimal form because Zern is a little bit confusing. Okay, now I want to do 2 of these in expanded form as a quick review, and then we will move on to the lesson. So here's what I would like. Let's do 75 and 604 thousandths and 803 thousandths in expanded form. Okay, so circle those two, please. And we're going to use decimals today. So the first thing we need to do, let's see what it looks like on the place value chart. You don't have to write this right now, but those place value charts are there for you to use later. Okay? So right now, let's put a 7 in what place value? A 5 in what place value? Okay, a 6 and a 4. Okay? Okay. Now, when I do expanded form, I'll start with 7 times. What, boys and girls? Okay, get going on this. Now, when you get to 6/10, I want you to use decimal, not fraction, okay? So decimal, 6 times 1/10. Is everyone writing this? Please don't forget to write it down. Now I've got a 4 in the thousandths. I get to skip the hundredths, don't I? So write 1,000th as a decimal. On Zern, they don't give you parentheses. But how easy would this be to just put it on a place value chart and then write out expanded form? Raise your hand if you're struggling with lesson 5. Did you get it done? Okay. All right. And maybe no one in here is, but if you are, I've got a really good strategy right here that you can use with one of these place value charts at 130. Okay? All right, let's try the next one. 803 thousandths. Put it on the place value chart. You know, when it comes to expanded form, I really like zeros. Do you? Okay, so what am I going to start with? 8 in the tens place. Write it as a decimal. If you have to look up at mine and copy, please only look at the place value chart. Okay, don't look at my answers. And then what comes next, Blair? A 3 in what place value? Thousands. Okay, that's basically what's giving some kids problems on Zern. Okay, so I wanted to go over that. And plus, Fernando, you were absent yesterday, so this will give you a little bit of, give you a good strategy. All right, let's take a look at the lesson. I'm going to go all the way to problem 1. So flip your paper over to problem 1, please. Now, do you remember that in 5th grade math, I like to give you a strategy on things you already know how to do, and then you can apply it to things you don't know how to do? So I need you to look up here for a minute. Everyone up here. I want you to take a walk down memory lane. Can you do that for me? Maybe back to 3rd or 2nd grade. Okay? And when you see a circle, what do you think goes in that circle? Fernando?
Arrow either pointing left or right.
Okay, they're called symbols.
Yes.
And that's greater than?
And
Less than?
or equal to.
Awesome. I knew you would remember. And probably when you first started doing things like this, you might have used a place value chart. And here's what it might have looked like, okay? And this is probably more like 3rd grade. So I'm going to put 13,000. You don't have a place value chart, so I need your eyes up here. 196 on the place value chart. Then I'm going to put 13,296 on the place value chart. Now, in your mind, you probably went, these two match, these two match, these don't match. Which one's larger? So I would draw the alligator eats the bigger number. Do you remember that from the old days? Okay. Well, we're going to apply that same strategy to decimals. Now, the only trick to decimals is you have to add in zeros if your place values do not match up. And I'll show you what that is. So, did you go ahead and answer problem 1?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do problem 2. So, on problem 2, take your place value chart beside you. Trust me on this. You don't have one? Looks like there's an extra one right here, okay? So write these two numbers on your place value chart, and if it were me, I would get that decimal written down before I start. So I'm going to write 12 thousandths on the place value chart. And I'm going to write 2 thousandths on the place value chart. Now this is still rather simple, isn't it? Because all I do is I go across and I look at my digits, and the first place value I find that they don't match up is a hundredths place. Which one of these numbers is larger?
The 1.
The 1. So 12 thousandths is greater. All right, let's take a look at problem 3. And it's a little bit different, but I don't think you're going to have much trouble with it. Here's what I want you to do. Write 299 thousandths on your place value chart. I bet you already had that figured out, didn't you? Go ahead and write the decimal and the 0. And then let's write 3/10 on your place value chart. And this is where it begins to get interesting, because a lot of children would look at this and they would pick 299 thousandths because it looks larger. But when I go over to the place value chart and I fill in with zeros, which is larger, 299 thousandths or 300 thousandths?
300,000.
So 3/10 is larger than 299 thousandths. That's the reason for the place value chart. Okay? We've got a couple more at the bottom of this box, and then we'll be ready for the problem set already. So 705 thousandths, write that on your place value chart. This is not optional. Please write it down now. 705 thousandths. And the next one, 7/10. Now, going back to last time, wasn't my tenths larger than my thousandths? Wonder if that's going to be the same way this time. So I'm going to fill in. Let me finish my sentence. Which is larger, 705 thousandths or 700 thousandths?
705,000.
So can you just go by the place value? No. Got to use the place value chart. How you doing?
Good.
Okay, one more. Let's write 15 and 203 thousandths on the place value chart. Make sure you've got your 1 in the tens place. Tens. And 15 and 21 thousandths on the place value chart. Okay, fill in with a, and somebody in block 1 even called them trailing zeros because they don't change the value. Okay, so going across, the hundredths place looks to me like it's the first one that has numbers that are different. Which is larger?
15 and 210,000.
Or 15 and 21 hundredths. Okay, that's basically most of the lesson. We've got one more thing we're doing. My place value chart is actually on a different page. And it looks like I've already been using it. Okay, so we're going to go back and forth from the paper to the place value chart like we have been. Start with 27 and 5 thousandths. Put that on your place value chart. Okay. The next number you need to write is 29 and, 29 and 4 hundredths. that what's next, boys and girls? I'm doing the middle one. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Well, you're not answering me.
Sorry.
27 and what? 19 what? Thousandths. Good. And the last one, bless you.
Thank you.
29 and 5/10. So those are all on your place value chart, okay? Now the directions say from least to greatest. So right now I'm going to start by looking at whole numbers. Follow my eyes. I've got 27, 29, 27, 29. So which two am I going to look at first?
27.
27. So now that the 27s match, I go over to the decimal place values. I've got 5 thousandths or 19 thousandths. Which one is smaller?
Oh, 27.
And 5 thousandths. So cross that off. 27 and 5 thousandths just happens to be the first number because we're doing least to greatest. All right, going back to my place value chart. My guess is the next number that I drew the arrow to, the other whole number of 27 comes next. Am I right? Okay. So 27 and 19 thousandths. Back to the place value chart. Now I'm ready for the 29s. What do I need to do with the whole numbers of 29, Tucker? I mean, I'm going to look at the decimal place value on these two, right? But do they match?
No.
No, so what do I need to fill in with?
0.
A 0. Now, Tucker, tell me this. Is 4 hundredths or 50 hundredths larger?
50 hundredths.
So that's going to be our largest number. So the number that comes next, say this for me, boys and girls. 29 and 4 hundredths. And then I know that 29 and 5/10 is the largest number. Okay, that's the strategy I want you to use on these.